Do we really want to see a 25-year-old woman leave behind 2 children and die? Have we learned nothing from Anna Nicole Smith? I know it's hard to see
Gypsy
as a human being, but trust me, she is. And what really bothers me is to think of those people out there who don't see her as a person. And how dare anyone out there make fun of her after all she's been through? She lost her aunt. She went through a divorce. She had kids. Her husband turned out to be a user, a cheater, and now she's going through a custody battle. All you people care about is readers and making money off of her. She's a human! What you don't realize is that making you all this money and all you do is write a bunch of crap about her. Because all you people want is more. Leave her alone! Please!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. In case you missed it, Gypsy Rose Blanchard decided to reactivate her deactivated TikTok account to tell everyone a whole huge list of the reasons why she was going to essentially deactivate her platform again. So I want to go through and tell you some of the things that Gypsy talked about and what I think about them, what I think she was trying to do by saying them, because there was a lot of manipulation in this live, a lot of excuses, and a lot of playing both the hero and the victim in a way. Now, we're not going to sit here and pretend like we don't all know that the reason that she's getting back on that account is because every 30 days you literally have to, or the account really gets deleted. And knowing Gypsy Rose and how she really is, she's not going to let those 9 million followers just get deleted. She already learned her lesson about it the other time that she deleted it, and her follower count went down, so I think she's going to just keep doing this and bouncing back and forth. But this TikTok live included how Gypsy's been feeling lately and why she decided to step away from social media. And by step away, that doesn't count the fact that she made multiple videos about multiple content creators, but you know, that doesn't count. But we're gonna get into what Gypsy had to say during this live, and I want to give you some of my thoughts on it and what I think she was actually trying to do, the kind of motive behind the words that she's saying. So before we get into all of that though, make sure you like and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with anything I've got coming out on my channel. But let's go ahead and get into this TikTok live that Gypsy Rose did and see what we can find out. I guess Gypsy's friends weren't really cutting it, and Gypsy kind of had to go and have her own leave Britney alone moment. We all know that Gypsy's friends will rush to kind of defend her name at any given moment, like Brie, or I think another one is Sheena. They'll do pretty much whatever Gypsy wants them to do, but I don't think they were really getting the message across in the way that she wanted it done. I feel like that's what Gypsy was kind of trying to do with this live, but it just doesn't, it's not feeling genuine. It's not good. It's just really not good. She's not good at acting. She's not good at really showing true, genuine emotions. And I think she thinks that if she pretends to cry, then it's coming off as genuine. But if you're not actually crying, just don't do it. You can still be upset about something, but you don't have to fake cry, because we can see that you're not really crying. So that kind of ruins it. You know what I mean? And you know, what's funny about Gypsy is she always tries to make herself look like a self-sacrificing person, almost wanting to be like a martyr for those around her, to be like, wow, look what she did. Look what she gave up. After everything that's happened to her, wow, she's so selfless and she's so giving. And I feel like that's kind of what this video is trying to push forward, that she knows that she has the ability to be on social media, she has the platform, but she's thinking of the betterment of her family, and she's gonna give that up for them. But it's like, are you?
Show. So I know a lot of you have been asking in my comment sections, is there going to be a season 3? And life happens, you know, stuff was happening, like I got off a parole, and they wanted to make sure they captured that just in case there would have been a season 3. I want to say when I was vacationing in Miami with my dad, Christy, Aurora, and Ken, I got a phone call from the network, and they let me know that there's not going to be a season 3, and the reason why is because Lifetime Network, their demographic of viewers have an age range, okay? And so their age range is above my, I guess, demographic. So we started to see that the partnership between my show and the network, we tried to, you know, make it merge in a way that it was mutually beneficial. But we were seeing that it just wasn't the right platform for my show. That's something that I had been voicing as a concern when I saw that viewership was lower for this last season.
I feel like Gypsy is going out of her way to kind of make sure that everybody knows that it wasn't anything to do with her that the show got canceled. It has nothing to do with her behavior, anything happening online. None of that. It was absolutely not related whatsoever to Gypsy directly, but it was more the network. Yeah, I'd bet that's probably what they told her anyway, because they're probably not just gonna straight up say, yeah, you kind of messed up, or, you know, it's really not hitting the way that we thought it was, you know, the views are down, you're kind of becoming a problematic individual. They're probably not gonna tell her that. They're gonna give her some sort of, it's like HR response, like it's just not the right age group. We don't want to attempt to bring any more viewers that are younger than our demographic, which it's kind of crazy. If you look at the other shows that are on Lifetime, I mean, it's not that big of a stretch with Gypsy's show. So I'm thinking that was more just a reason that they gave her because they didn't really want to hurt her feelings or tell it to her straight, trying to kind of like preserve that relationship and not have Gypsy freak out. If anything you take away from her live is that she wants you to know 100% it wasn't because of her.
And so I was like, okay, you know, we had interested buyers. Hulu was interested, as well as other networks were interested in creating maybe not the same show, but still covering my life. But I have the option to say, you know what? I don't want another show. I want to live a private life, a normal life now. You are signed to a network. You are contractually obligated to post when they want you to post, go to events when they want you to go to events to promote the show, film. It is in the contract that I signed that how many film days we had, what is required of me. It's a lot that goes into contracts with a network. And even as so much as, you know, how long can you be under a certain amount of time that you can't even do another show or something similar like a documentary. So I had a conversation with my manager. You know, obviously he's my manager, so he's going to do what's in the best interest of, you know, the bottom line, as well as to me. You know, Mike and I go way back. And I was like, you know, I understand where you're coming from, that there is a lot of people that is interested in my life. I understand that. But I'm also just me, and I'm just a mom. Like, I'm not a character in the act. The downside is I want to go to the grocery store, okay? They have to call and clear the grocery store to make sure that they even allow them to film at the grocery store. So it's a little bit of a hindrance to not be able to say, okay, I just want to go here and do my business and that be it. It's a schedule, it's a job, and it does take work. It's like, yes, it's reality, yes, you're filming what you're doing in your life, but there's all these added extra steps to it.
I do find it kind of funny that Gypsy is talking about the show and how it was so tiring and how it was really work. Like, she filmed almost 28 consecutive seasons of the show and she's just really ready to take a break. You know, it's been this long period of time that she's been a TV personality and she's just ready to step away from it all. But no, she's really done like 2 seasons out in the real world. You can count the first season, but being in prison, it kind of doesn't even count because, I mean, what else are you going to do? A lot of it was filmed through a telephone call, voice recordings and stuff like that. So it wasn't even in person where it was affecting her life. She was just there sitting and being interviewed. But she wants to sit and act like she isn't a character when she and her family literally handcrafted the character, they handcrafted the narrative that they put out into the world. And I mean, she's the only person who has referred to her as a celebrity. She's the one who said that she was an influencer. She's the one that wants to be that social media personality, TV personality, social media influencer. People didn't place that title on her. She put that on herself. I mean, she even literally put it in her freaking bio online. No one forced that title on her, and no one forced her to come out and do any of this. She literally forced herself on us. But yet she doesn't seem to grasp that. Nobody said that she needed to be this hero to man, but she acts like we all told her that. Like we just collectively decided, like, yeah, Gypsy's gonna be our newest celebrity and she better not mess up. That's not what happened whatsoever. Gypsy's sitting there talking about how the show it's work, it's a job. You know, the slight inconvenience of having a couple of extra steps when you want to do something, I don't really feel like qualifies as work, especially because she's not the one getting the clearance for those places that she wants to go. There's a whole crew doing that for her. She's literally not doing anything but just existing, and they're filming it. She's not literally working. She's not doing any of the editing, nothing. She's just existing. But she considers that and the slight inconvenience of getting permission to film somewhere as work. And that's crazy to me because it's really not. You know, like I feel like especially for reality TV, fun fact, one time my family was on a TV special. It's kind of embarrassing, but it wasn't for anything like cool or, you know, fun. It was for the hunting channel. So if that tells you anything, and it was more so about like my dad. But anyway, and yeah, they had to film certain scenes and they had to do certain things like, oh, they'd have to repeat the in-between scenes where they're like filming you driving or something like that. They would redo that and see what looks best or the angle or whatever. But literally none of that was work. That's not physical work. That's not even mental work, really. It's just like showing up and talking. And that's literally all that it was. And even that, like what my family did, it wasn't like a reality show where you're just kind of chilling and doing whatever. This was more for like a very specific show about what we were doing at the time, which doesn't matter. Overall, they're just kind of following you and documenting your life. It's not like you're literally putting in a lot of mental stress or effort or even physical effort into it. Maybe the crew is when they're following you around and getting all the stuff that's needed for the show, but the actual person, no. It's not what I would consider work. But, you know, teach their own, I guess.
I don't want to have my daughter grow up in this life, okay, where she's being scrutinized, she's being talked about, she's being posted. I don't want any of that. I live that life and it sucks. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks big time. It'd be powerful, wouldn't it be better for it to come from you and give you the opportunity and you the power back instead of all these other people trying to sneak pictures of her and everything? We could look into possibly a bump up in pay of the episode if you unblur her face. No amount of money thrown at me is gonna make me change my mind. And this is all things, everything that I'm telling you right now, I'm only able to tell you because I'm no longer under a NDA with the network. I'm no longer under any sort of gag order where it's like, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. It would be a breach of contract if you do this or if you do that. It's all over now. So what you see is what you get now. The muzzle is off. I don't want her to be a cash cow. I don't want her to that to be focused. If you want to talk about me, if you want to make a documentary about me, that's fine. It's like I've been plastered around anywhere and like a show pony for the last, 10 years anyway.
I did find it a little interesting when Gypsy's talking about her daughter or whatever, and she uses those phrases like cash cow or show pony, things like that. Because if you remember back when Gypsy did her Dr. Phil interview, that is the exact same phrase and like verbiage that he used whenever he was asking Gypsy about whether she was aware of what her mom was doing or how she was being used for financial gain. Dr. Phil straight up asked her, like, you didn't know you were a cash cow or you didn't know you were a show pony. And I just find it interesting that she decides to use those phrases exactly when she's talking about her daughter.
Forced me to go to doctor's appointments that I didn't need Did you understand that you being sick was necessary to keep up what she built? Because you got a house, donations, you got different things from people for being sick. So that was a source of income for her.
And I had no idea that I was a part of that.
You didn't know that you were a cash cow.
No.
And it's probably just a way for her to kind of take a dig at her mother, like, I'm not going to do the same things she did to me or whatever, because, again, Gypsy was always the center of attention. And when she's talking, she's like, yeah, I know, I've been in the spotlight my entire life. Like, I know what it's like. Yeah, Gypsy was always the center of attention. It wasn't Dee Dee getting the attention. So that kind of, like, again, is, like, weird with the whole Munchausen thing, because typically the parent that is inflicting this, they want the attention. They need that emotional fix. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. But otherwise, it was Gypsy front and center, Gypsy on the newspaper, Gypsy, being posted online, like Gypsy, everything. And Dee Dee's kind of off, either in the background or just talking about Gypsy. But it's kind of interesting to see how that comes back full circle with her, and how she's, again, trying to use it as a way to make herself better than her mother in a way. And I don't know why she feels the need to do that. Like, if she believed that her mother was as bad as what she says that she was, it should not be difficult to do better than her. And the same thing with the whole, like, nest egg that she brings up during this live. She uses that phrase, nest egg. And, we all know that Gypsy had a nest egg when she was with Nicholas Godejohn. It literally said it on the bag from the photographic evidence.
Ultimately, the choice was continue on with the show, make some money, they do pay good, or forfeit the money and choose a private as people will let me, life. And that means money struggles. That absolutely, I am not rich. This whole, I have $3 million up. No, absolutely not. I'm not broke, but I'm also not rich. I have a nest egg, and without doing another season, there is no income. Like I said, I had this account set for deletion, so that means no creator fund. That means I'm not making money off of TikTok. So, and the people that are like, get a job. Okay, I have a almost 8-month-old daughter. Ken works, so I'm not gonna put her in daycare and stuff like that. Like, thank you for the advocacy. I used to make probably about $3,000 a month on TikTok from the creator fund. The creator fund's great. This is something that I can do at home. And no, it's not Picasso. No, it's not great. But I'm still learning, and that's the fun thing about it is I'm learning. I'm learning so much more about art before the crime. So it's my handprints, and we were able to get this from the Habitat House and some of my other paintings. So painting is something not new. This is something I've been doing for a long time, in different ways.
And it's kind of funny, she's talking about her nest egg when she literally has been like cosplaying as like a poor person multiple times recently, with the whole formula thing, talking about how formula is so expensive and I just need to sell this mediocre art in order to feed my baby. And then the whole hacking situation that maybe did or did not happen, nobody really knows because it was so bizarre. She was messaging that hacker saying, I don't have that money. I'm a pregnant mother expecting to give birth. I just don't have that. And she also did it in a live, I want to say when she was chatting with her friends or Bree, she's talking about like she doesn't have that kind of money. She's broke.
I technically only have like $50 in my account. I'm on a salary pay, so I get so much a month, and I have to pay my bills. I have to do like diapers, wipes, clothes.
You're not rich.
No, not in the least. And so I'm like sitting here, $50 in my account, being like, oh my god, am I gonna have to, ask my dad for money this month or something like this? Because, whatever.
Regular person with
Regular person, yeah.
The whole $3 million rumor, I think made people think you're just like loaded. You know what I think?
I got an estimate because they said that that same thing said that I had $1 million while still in prison, and I'm like, seriously, here I am, asking my dad for $200 a month the entire time I was in prison. Like, if I had $1 million, I wouldn't be asking my dad for money. Mass reported, and I didn't know what was going on with my account because I'm like, there's no reason that I should have been kicked out of the creator fund, and the reason that TikTok gave me was like violating community guidelines, and I'm like.
And then, of course, the next week she started spending $1,000 on a second stroller, $1,000 on jeans, things like that. But this girl has like cosplayed as like a poor person so much it's not even funny. It's one thing to not pretend that you're rich, but to go the opposite end and say that, I can't afford milk for my baby. I can't afford formula anymore. I'm broke. I don't have $20 to my name. when she knows good and well. I mean, I would hope that she still has some money put back, because if she doesn't, then that's insane. Because again, we all know as of the emails being released that she's made over $300,000 just from that. That doesn't include the second season of Life After Lockup and things like that. So I would really hope that she has some money put back, but it's just funny how she wants to pretend like she's, and you guys won't let me work.
Because I'm at a disadvantage. If I, as someone who was in reality TV, as someone as well known as I am, you think I can go and work at Abercrombie and Fitch, whatever, or the mall and not get recognized? There are people on this app that have called places that I'll go shop or I will go eat at a restaurant. They will call and harass the place. So I would love to ask these people, the people that are like, get a job. If I got a 9-to-5, would y'all like let me work? Would y'all leave me alone and just let me do my job without calling and be like, do you know a murderer works there? And they get her fired. So it's like, I am at that disadvantage.
She's at a disadvantage. The girl that was literally catapulted to fame, you know, put no effort in, didn't have to work at all for it, given basically a free ride straight to the top. She was gifted a platform with extreme amount of money that a lot of people can't even, you know, dream of, let alone work every single day to get to. Yet she's at a disadvantage compared to other people. And all she literally did was commit a murder? What? How does that make sense? Make that make sense to me. Somebody murders somebody and then they get a free ride to the top with the ability to make thousands of dollars just for existing. That's crazy. And she's talking about how she can't work a 9-to-5 because people might harass the job. First of all, don't tell anybody. Second of all, does she just automatically assume that she's just going to be the front of whatever business that she decides to work at? Like, they're just going to have her face plastered on billboards like, come see Gypsy at blah, blah, blah. Like, what? How would anybody really figure it out? She could work a back office job or something, but no. And she's just going off of the assumption that people are going to do that. She's saying people call and harass when she's shopping or restaurants. Okay, first of all, yeah, I do know that some people called the restaurant whenever it was season 2 and the whole octopus thing, only because the literal waiter came online to TikTok and started talking about his experience, and then Gypsy reposted it. That's the only reason people really figured out where they were at, what was going on, because they literally told on themselves. No one's going out of their way to just figure out what restaurant she's at or whatever. And even if they did, that doesn't mean that she can't ever work ever, and that the only thing she can do is sell art, which, by the way, is literally only selling because of who she is. So again, profiting off of that infamy. But of course, Gypsy is the hero. She wants to maintain this hero narrative that, you know, she decided to not continue and, you know, throw away hundreds of thousands of dollars and just sacrifice it to be a good mom because she's selfless like that. That's what she does. She is self-sacrificing, sacrificing people work their entire lives to get, and she's just going to throw it away because she loves her child that much. Like, what are we talking about? And instead, she's going to sell art to the same public. And eventually, that's going to fizzle out. And I think that's why she deactivated her art page anyway, because now that it's actually become work for her, that's a little bit too much to ask. Yeah, it was fun as a hobby, but now it's kind of become work, and Gypsy don't really like to work. So she's just gonna, you know, deactivate that. And
I'm 34 years old, but like in my soul, I feel like sometimes I'm like 20. I'm like, sometimes I could be a little goofy, be immature, be a little smart ass sometimes, but that's only like one part of me. I never got to figure out who I am. And so, yeah, I'm gonna be 50 different versions of me. In prison is supposed to be reform. Prison is actually just a babysitter. It's an adult babysitter. People that are like that, for the people that are really wanting to better themselves, they honestly get something out of prison. Like for me, I try to do as many programs as my prison would allow me to do. I got my GED, which I was like super proud of myself. My GED might not be a college degree, okay, but it was big for me, so that's all that matters. You know, you have to be the ferocious, you have to be tough, you have to be, you know, that badass in order to be respected. If someone doesn't like me, I've got to be snarky, I've got to be, you know, more. You don't address someone with a different opinion with like being straight up rude.
Although she's 34 years old, she inside feels like a 20-year-old. And, you know, I wonder if when she was, you know, like a 24-year-old or a 23-year-old that she really felt like a 19-year-old or maybe a little bit younger. Maybe she's always kind of felt like she's younger than her actual age. Maybe that's just who Gypsy is. She said she's quirky. Maybe Gypsy just really wanted to kind of pretend she was younger. She just liked younger things. So of course she's gonna blame her mom and blame everything else. And speaking of blaming, she's also blaming the prison that she was in for the way that she handles conflict or the way that she handles things that she doesn't really like. She's gonna blame being in prison for clapping back at her haters or whatever, talking about how she had to be tough and, you know, show people who's boss or whatever. As much as she kind of tries to push the narrative that she was like some bad bee in prison, she really wasn't. There's people that knew her. She was very quiet. She was very standoffish. She wanted to do what she wanted to do by herself. She wanted to get what she wanted when she wanted it. She got money. She had more stuff than anybody to keep her occupied. You know, TV, radio, phone time, emails, blah, 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 blah. Tons of makeup. Somebody that spent, 6 hours doing makeup a day? Yeah, she wasn't running the show in prison, so I don't know why she's using it as an excuse to behave immaturely out of prison. And if anything, when she was in prison, she kind of just let people do what they wanted. She even talked about how one woman stole her foundation from her and then forced Gypsy to buy it back from her and then stole it again. But yeah, prison made her come out and start acting crazy. That doesn't make sense. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe she didn't feel like she could stand up for herself in prison, so she wants to do it now. I would believe that, but...
Doing wrong this whole time is I literally have been trying to be everything that people expect me to be. Like, when you get out, you need to advocate for prison reform. We expect great things of you, Miss Blanchard. You know, you need to advocate for Munchausen by proxy and this, that, and the other. Yeah, I met Kim Kardashian. Yeah, she was really nice. We talked about my story. Advocating? I don't even think half of anybody on TikTok knows what that even means or what they want from me. Because it's like I have brought awareness to Munchausen by proxy. A, by sharing my story. B, by explaining what it is to people that probably don't know or if they haven't heard it. And what I see in my comment section, we don't want a schmurder to advocate, go back to prison. And then I'll make a video about me, dancing on my makeup. This isn't advocating. Why aren't you doing what you said you were gonna do? And you're expecting me to come out and be freaking Wonder Woman over here. I am not Wonder Woman. And
the funny thing about Gypsy is she talks about how she tried to advocate and she was invalidated every step of the way and that she tried to do what the people wanted her to do. Like, literally nobody told you that you needed to do that. Nobody told you to advocate. Nobody told you to advocate for Munchausen by proxy. No one told you that you needed to plan on trying to change the laws and make doctors be held responsible and be more aware of Munchausen by proxy parents to avoid what she went through, to be a voice of children who have suffered abuse. Literally nobody told you to do that. You told us that you were gonna do that. You were the one that literally told everybody that that's what you wanted to do. We didn't tell you that you needed to do that. You said you were just gonna do that.
Bring things back to the point of why I'm on social media to begin with. The whole point is to spread awareness about Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
With the massive amount of platform that I have, you know, the 6 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, I really want to get into advocacy work. I want to get into advocacy work, start working on my advocacy work. I'm an advocate for abuse victims in general, and I'm all about prison reform. So I'm starting to really try and move into advocacy work. So I'm like, okay, guys, I'm happy that you're happy that I'm out, but now let's talk about things that I want to talk about in my advocacy work. I want to bring awareness. I want to be the person that I wish I had to guide me.
Literally nobody told you to do that. Because then when you go and do the opposite, it makes you look bad because you're not following what you're saying. No one told you, Gypsy, you need to speak out about cyberbullying. They're hurting your feelings, Gypsy. Go tell everybody cyberbullying's bad. Go tell everybody about Munchausen by proxy, Gypsy. No, literally, you went out of your way to tell news reporters, media outlets, I'm going to be an advocate. That's what I want to do. I want to change the world. I'm going to go meet lawmakers. I'm going to go do this, this, and this. No one told her what she had to be. We just kind of wanted to see what she would do, and hopefully maybe she wouldn't kill again. I think that's pretty much the, expectations we had of her. Hopefully she don't do it again. But no, she wants to try to say that the public pressured her into all of this. No. And I don't know why she can't seem to understand that. She's the one that told us. She's the one that brought it up. Not us. Not the public. Nobody was like, Gypsy, you're gonna advocate or else. Because when you say you're gonna do something to the entire world, and then you literally don't do it at all, or you try barely, and then just again say you're not gonna do it just because you don't want to, or people weren't supportive enough, or because it sounded good to the parole board when you were trying to get out of prison. You never did it. You never attempted to do it. Being like advocating by telling your story, that's not advocating. That's advocating for yourself. That's propping yourself up. Yeah, I guess if she would have came out and said, I want to talk about my story, that's it. No one would have a problem. But the problem is she said she wanted to do all of these things. And then when people kind of were like, okay, yeah, try your best, do it. If that's what you want to do, then do it. And then literally does anything but. People are going to be a little confused by that, because why say it if you're not going to do it? But, that's what she says, and she says that she's going to go off social media again, and, maybe she will, maybe she won't, but who knows? But I want to know what you guys had to think about this live. What do you think about Gypsy literally reactivating her account just to deactivate it again to tell everybody that she's taking a step back? Do you believe her, or do you think she's going to be back? What do you think about what she had to say, giving up the show, or how she tried to advocate and she was invalidated every step of the way, and that she tried to do what the people wanted her to do? Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about it. As always, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with anything I've got coming out on my channel. Make sure those notifications are turned on. Thank you for watching and supporting me. I will see you guys on the next one, because there definitely will be a next one. See you guys later. Bye.